All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I hope you are enjoying the lovely, most amazing weather that we are having right now. It is stunning outside. It's all relative. It can be a little bit warmer, but otherwise it's really nice. Nothing like seeing the sun beating down on a beautiful Wednesday morning. Okay, so I want to just jump right in. We're speaking about freedom. And freedom is not what we think it is. Last week, we described freedom as the ability to make choices, using our free will. And that real freedom doesn't mean the ability of doing whatever it is that you want to be doing, but real freedom is exercising your free will, making the best possible choices. Um, so what I want to do with you today a little is try to get some clarity as to how we could actually, find and achieve a deeper level of freedom. So, and by the way, it's not an accident that we're having this conversation right before Passover. This is the best time to have this conversation. The whole entire Seder, which means order, the whole meal, everything about Passover itself is designed to help you walk away with a feeling of greater freedom. As we're preparing and we're getting rid of the chametz, we're getting rid of all of the breadcrumbs in our lives, do whatever you can to try to incorporate these ideas, and you'll see yourself walking away with a much deeper connection to freedom. Now, freedom is like any other kind of, discipline, right? If you don't have clarity, if you don't have a vision, and an inspiration, you're not going to find your clarity. So again, what is freedom? Freedom is the capacity to express your life, whose values and ideals stem from the human soul, right? The Gemara says that, it's a quote, precious is the human being who was created in the image of God. And even a greater sign of preciousness is a man that was informed that he was created in God's image. So the freedom isn't just doing what you want. It first starts with knowledge. And that knowledge is that we are the image of God, that we're created in the image of God. Okay. Therefore, we are limitless. Okay. All human beings are created in the image of God. Does not mean that we have a little bit of Zeus or Odin or Aphrodite in us, but it means that we have free will. We have the ability of making meaningful, substantive choices, which have a direct impact on our lives. Now, it's these choices which determine the ultimate moral and spiritual quality of every single human being's existence. If you ever did anything wrong and later regretted it, then you believe you have free choice. If you ever felt that a criminal deserved to be punished, then despite the socioeconomic factors that he was subjected to, then you believe in free will. If you believe that Raoul Wallenberg, who was famous for saving Jews that were sent into the what's it called? The name of that river again? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it. The name of the river in Budapest. Okay, it'll come back to me. Maybe it's the Rhine River. If you believe that Raoul Wallenberg was a righteous human being, then it's because you believe he made a choice where so many others failed. Now, if you ever yell at your kids for leaving their rooms a mess, and most definitely most definitely believe in free will, right? Because every child has the choice of walking away from their bedroom as immaculately as possible. So, when you talk about free will, right? Free will is this idea of just executing my choice, right? So what you don't believe is that people that are bound by these fatalistic chains of, familial circumstances, socioeconomic conditions, genes, that these things hold a person back, that you're a prisoner to an attitude of indifference, right? That you kind of like resign to the melancholy of life. But instead, you are animated by an abundant, optimistic outlook, which sees yourself and others as the shapers, creators, and captains of the great ships of potential that we steer through our choices. Now, Judaism believes that people are people and not psychological robots, and that the existence of free will automatically create a human that's responsible for their actions. And that is the most precious gift a person can have, the freedom to make his own choices and to be responsible for his own actions. Now, you have we live in a world where business and hyper speed of technology advances, these advances are the metaphor for life. While there is something super unsettling about seeing myself as a corporation, my mind as software, my children as long-term investments. Don't tell them that. The fact is that the Chachamim, the Talmud, the sages of the Talmud also view the workings of business, the working of the business world, as a useful paradigm for personal growth and character development. So this model that I'm about to present is designed to help identify the values that are most central to your life, and then define a set of goals based on the values. Okay, there's a 4-step process of introspection, projection, and planning. Okay, it's straightforward, it's easy to use, and it's based on the Jewish discipline of what we call cheshbon hanefesh, a personal choice management, all right, or an accounting of the soul. Ultimately, everyone has to devise a customized approach which works best for them. The format is not set in stone, but it's really just to give you an idea of how we do these things. Rather than set a goal, is nice, but I want you to have a reference where you can go on to developing your own personalized system. Because not just making a goal, but like here's a methodology. So step number one. Step number one is make a list of five values or ideals which express the way you want to live your life. Okay, write as many of these ideals as you possibly can. I wrote out like a list of my own ideals. We talk about accepting, being energetic, being humorous, modest, being harmonious, empowering, appreciative, flexible, mature, honest, balanced, fulfilled, idealistic, forgiving, having integrity, being intuitive, being growth oriented, happy, respectful. You come up with your list of 5 values which express the way you want to live your life. Okay, write out as many values as you can. Don't just assume that these are the 5. Come up with as many as you possibly can. That's step one. Step number 2 is list 5 spheres of life which you are most involved in and which you would like to qualitatively enhance your experience. Okay, and so you could say that the 5 spheres of life which I'm most involved in can be work, business, it could be family, spouse, relatives, it could be Judaism, it could be children, it could be education, career, friends, health, God, personal growth, spirituality, meditation. You come up with your 5 spheres of life which you are most involved in. Write it on a sheet of paper. These are the 5 spheres of life where you would like to qualitatively enhance your experience. Okay. Step number 3. Match a value or ideal to each of the 5 life spheres. Okay. This should be the value which you want to be ever present in the sphere of your life. Okay. Then write a 1-sentence statement that captures how your chosen value would be ideally expressed over the next 20 years. Now, this becomes your goal for that sphere of life. Okay, is that clear? I should do that again. Okay, so again, step 1 and 2 is list 5 values, ideals which express the life you want to live. Step 2 is list the 5 spheres which you are most involved in, which you would like to qualitatively enhance your experience in. Now, match the value ideal in each of the 5 spheres. Then write a 1-sentence statement that captures how your chosen value would be ideally expressed over the next 20 years. Step number 4, last and not least, okay? List 2 or 3 concrete objectives, which, if met, you believe will result in the achievement of the goal stated in step number 3. So let's do an example. Okay, I'll give you a couple examples. Let's do marriage. Okay, that's your sphere of life. Your value is love. The goal is a relationship characterized by a continual deepening of our love. So what's the objective? You want to spend 1 hour of private time together with your spouse twice a week. Keep a list of things I love about my spouse, my wife, my husband, next to my bed, and add to it once a week. Say thank you once a day. Do as routine, like do something in there that those are the objectives. Okay, so we can go ahead and say that these things are going to help me feel the sense of, closeness and so on and so forth. Let's do business, sphere of business. So sphere of business, the value in that sphere of life is honesty, right? So what's the goal? The goal is that you want to have a reputation is that his word is solid. It's like gold standard. His word is like good as gold. So what are the objectives? You want to incorporate, the following statement to your vocabulary. If I make a commitment, I stand by it. So let me think about what I just said, and I'll get back to you in an hour, right? Like I want to be a man or a woman of my word. After describing a product or service to a customer or client, ask yourself, if I were my client, would I feel satisfied with this purchase? Do something that allows you to expand your sphere of consciousness in that sphere of life and add the value to it to help you express it the most profoundly. Another example is, let's say you chose a value is growth oriented and your sphere of life is Judaism. Okay, so the goal is, let's say, to possess the type of Jewish knowledge that's going to enable me to give my children a good feeling about being Jewish. So this is personal. This was one of my goals, right? I wanted my kids to feel a tremendous sense of, pride in being Jewish. So how would I get there? If that's the goal, if the goal is to give my kids this ability of feeling a sense of connection to their Judaism, then what's the objective? How do I get there? So number one is I got to read at least 5 or 6 books, Jewish books a year. Okay, I got to add to my knowledge. 2 is I completed a list of questions about Judaism, and then I asked different mentors / rabbis to help me find the answers. Okay, so it's super clear at this point. If you ever want to go back and review it, it's all there. Just review the audio. You'll find the description I think is super clear. Now, when you begin to see life as an ongoing process of just making choices, accepting responsibility for those choices, then there is no escaping the reality that life is always going to be tough because you're always sitting in the driver's seat. And that's just the way it is. So if you embrace the fact that life is going to be difficult, the first step in overcoming the hurdle, avoiding the choices, is just avoiding, and overcoming the pain. The first step is, holy cow, it's going to be tough, and it doesn't matter because I'm ready for the ride. I'm going to push because this is exactly what it means to be a human being. This is exactly what it means for me to be able to go ahead and express myself in a way that expresses my truest, freest of choices. The second step is to realize that it's actually a pleasure for things to be difficult. The challenge is good. And we all know that those accomplishments which enriched our lives, and they were only possible because of the effort that was involved. The discomfort that we endured, the difficult decisions which we made, right? Judaism, there's this idea called the fum tzara agra, that according to the effort is the reward. It doesn't matter if you reach the objective's goal or not. What matters most is that you actually put in the effort to achieve the goal. The reason why mountain climbers aren't allowed to a summit, to the top of the mountain by a helicopter, is because the reward, the satisfaction, the pleasure, the growth, the sense of meaning, the thrill are all a direct result of the challenging climb, right? The climb itself is the pleasure. Being forced to, sorry about that, being forced to abandon, an imminent assault on a summit by a sudden snowstorm will never engender retreat in the heart of one who tries his hardest to scale Mount Everest, because the reward is the effort, right? The Talmud says that only 20% of the Jewish people left Egypt. 20% left. The other 80% died and were buried during the plague of darkness. Why did they die? Because they weren't prepared to make the choice of freedom. When push came to shove, they preferred the familiar routine of slavery to the unknown challenges of the desert. Why should I go out and be different? I'm comfortable being a slave. Life, my friends, is about choosing. Choosing is difficult, and life is very pleasurable. So this Passover, as we are spending 1 year in a some sort of a lockdown, some sort of a weird scenario. This last year was the weirdest year ever. It's still very strange, right? Make a commitment to the pleasure of tough choices. We said how when this pandemic started, we're going to do all kinds of things. You're going to learn new instruments. You're going to challenge yourself, but we got distracted. All those things didn't happen. So how do you start? Where do you begin? Let me tell you where to begin. In a couple of weeks, we're going to do something called B'dikat Chametz, right? We're going to be searching for the Chametz. So Chametz is a metaphor for the things that inflate us, our sins, our poor choices. Chametz is the stuff that distracts us from doing what we're meant to be doing. So what we do is the night before Passover, this year's a Thursday night, I believe it's on the 26th, we're going to do the search for the Chametz. So instead of just doing a search for the Chametz, I want you to spend time also thinking about the things that are holding you back, the things that are holding you back from achieving your goals, the things that are holding you back from making your choices. After you've collected your chametz, with your 10 pieces of bread that you're going to collect, take each piece of bread and write on a sheet of paper, write one trait that you think is holding you back for each piece of bread. So you have 10 traits, 10 ideas, 10 values that are holding you back from achieving your goal. Write it on a sheet of paper, wrap it up with a piece of bread, and when you burn it on Friday before Shabbat, have in mind that God should help you to burn away those negative traits that are holding you back from achieving your greatness. You don't want to be like the 80% of the Jews that did not leave Egypt. How foolish. Life has so much beauty. There's so much opportunity. Don't get hung up on all of the things that are wrong. Get rid of the lenses that blind you from seeing the beauty, that what makes you so uniquely great and so amazing is the fact that you can exercise your freedom. This Passover is all about freedom exercises. How do I do that? I change my diet. I change what I eat. All the things that I do are there to help remove me from this ridiculous notion that my routine defines my reality, because I don't want to be buried in Egypt. I want to be free in Israel with you, my friends. So use this time to exercise your freedom. Freedom, true freedom, the American version of freedom is an illusion. It ain't true. There is no such thing as freedom. The only true freedom we have is the freedom to make our choices. And with that, may we be blessed to express our greatest power, which is the power to choose. I know you will choose wisely. Wishing you an amazing, amazing day. Hope you enjoyed, and looking forward to seeing you in person, God willing, sooner than later. Lots of love, everybody.